How you doing, everybody? Good to be here. It's been a while. Been a while. Blame KP. Blame KP.
Just a reminder to turn your cell phones to vibrate off or mute, and we will, after he finishes, we'll take a few questions from Zoom and then come into the room. So we'll start with an opening statement from Pat.
It's good to see everybody. A lot going on since we last met. I think it was in Indianapolis. Woo. Before I get started, I'm not going to say much early here. First, I want to commend the Thon students who put that incredible event on. Every time I go in there, it's been my third year. It's actually quite overwhelming, to be honest with you, but $17.7 million is like, what are we talking about? That's amazing. Being on the recruiting trail or the fundraising trail right now to see what they do in a year. And the dancers, and I just want to make sure that I just thank them for what they do for so many people. It kind of puts what we do in perspective, really. But that was awesome. And then the other thing, and I'll kind of start with our stuff. Everybody talks about Beaver Stadium and football and all that, but I just want everyone to be aware of what's happening outside of our football program and the success, and obviously women's volleyball, the success. As of last week, we had 10 teams ranked at the top 25, obviously with our wrestling team, which is the best in the world. But there's sports that I don't think get any TLC. Men's fencing ranked 7th. Our men's gym program ranked 7th. I think they're poised. I think both those programs are poised to win national championships. I mean, women's hockey has been awesome, and going for the regular season, but going for third straight conference championship in the tournament. The boys and men's lacrosse this weekend against Navy, it was great. Women's fencing, another one that, to win national championship in fencing, you got to have men's and women's together, and they're 15th. I mean, these guys in here take down Michigan State, number 1. I don't think Michigan State lost a Saturday game or whatever. I'm so proud of them to battle back to where they are. They're ranked 18th. Pav and the boys 19th. Men's volleyball, men's indoor track. Keep an eye on that program, please. They're ranked 20th in the country, and then women's gym 25th. And they beat the Buckeyes this weekend, who are ranked 22nd. I think it's important that everyone understands what's going on. I know it's hard to look at all of those programs. I think we're like 11 or 10 every week ranked in the top 25, which is pretty awesome. And poised for even more success. We're not satisfied with that, but I think that's important to notice. So with that, let her rip. What do you got?
On Zoom, use the raise your hand function. We'll start with Rich Scarcell, and then we'll go to Audrey.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Pat, how do you think Penn State football is positioned with regards to NIL money and outside contributions, donations, compared to the other top programs in the country?
So how about we change the narrative of NIL? It's marketing now. It's marketing dollars. I think with the new rev share and the 20.5, obviously we're going to invest the 20.5, and then it increases 4% every single year after that. I mean, we're doing that. I think from what people think the traditional NIL piece, I think we're where we need to be. Look, you got to continue to do what you got to do. But in this new system, you're going to have to show fair market value. And this is where the power of Penn State is a huge asset. Because fair market value for the starting quarterback at Penn State is pretty good. And we've got to lean into that and with our business partners. And so that's the kind of the new world of name, image, and likeness. And, that's what we met with a little bit about at the Big Ten and the SEC meetings, is understanding how this new world's going to live. I will say everyone is discussing the 20.5 and the rev share. One of the biggest pieces to the House case is pulling the restriction of scholarships off. That's huge. That allows us to offer scholarships to all of our athletes if we could afford it. But as we're out there raising money, we're trying to let people know that as important as the 20.5, and that gets all the headlines, I get it. But do know that the greatest wrestling program in the world has 9.9 scholarships as we sit here today. So let that sink in for a minute. And so we have the ability now to not only help our teams in the space of rev share, but also put a lot more of our student athletes, if we do it right and we raise the right amount of money, on scholarship. And that is a huge advantage for us. So I feel really good where we're at. We always can be better. I'm a competitor. I want to be the best in the country, but I think the new landscape is changing the way that's going to play out.
Audrey and then Woogie.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
I'm good.
I wanted to ask about the 20.5 with regards to wrestling. Rich kind of teed me up for that. I was talking to Cael last week, and he said that he's pretty sure that they're not going to have 30 scholarships, and kind of across the sport, obviously, that the roster cap is going to impact a lot of wrestling programs. How do you kind of envision that working with wrestling specifically? Like, where do you try and distribute the money? How, do you think this is going to make an elite program even stronger?
Yeah, so no, we're not going to have 30 scholarships. We're working through the scholarship number right now, but Cael will have more scholarships to invest in the program. I think we will. I think another piece of the 20.5, and I know the follow-up question is like, well, how are you spending that money? And Cael will be part of our rev share world. Football, men's, women's basketball, wrestling, obviously, and then you get into this space, women's soccer, women's volleyball, and we're trying to be able to manage the money so that if we need to move on someone, no matter what the sport is, we have the ability to, hey, there's the number one fencer in the world, and we need to go use rev share to maybe tilt it our way. We're going to be able to do that. But in relation to Cael and wrestling, we're I always tell Cael, we're going to do whatever we need to do to give you all you need and the resources you need. I don't envision any. I may be wrong in this, but any program doing 30 scholarships for wrestling. But we're going to give Cael what he needs, and I can tell you that we've added scholarships for him in the future.
Mark Wogenrich, and then we'll go to Johnny.
Hi, Pat. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. I think in last November, you told Yahoo Sports right around the playoff that I think it's our time regarding Penn State football. There's been conversation about Penn State since the Orange Bowl being all in on football. What does that mean to you? What is Penn State willing to do and spend to win a national championship in football?
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've been all in on football. I've been all in on basketball, baseball, field hockey. I think if you've gotten to know me, I'm here to win. We're here. By the way, it's not always about money. It's how you're investing your money. And I think we've shown that, we're committed. I'm committed to working with, whether it's James Franklin or Cael Sanderson or Erica Dombach, whoever the coach is, to win. And different programs are at different parts of their kind of growth, And, but yeah, you don't come to Penn State and just willy-nilly, let's see what happens. I'm here to win a national championship. We're here to win national championships. And we're here to do it the right way. And so, yeah, I'm committed. Whatever you want to call it, we're committed to it. It takes everybody. And so, when it comes to football, we're close. We were close. And we're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until we get to where we want to be. And it's working together with James and all of my coaches.
Last question from Zoom right now, Johnny McGonigal.
Hey, Pat. What are your thoughts on the future of the CFP and the model that's been floated around there recently? Expanding 14 or 16 with automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten and SEC and other conferences.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not against it. I think we got to get. There's a lot of things that have to come before that. We have to look at the football calendar. The calendar, if you look at it, recruiting and everything that is it's like Frankenstein. It's bits and pieces from years of just putting this here, putting that there, and we're in a totally new world. So first and foremost, why that does relate to the CFP, because if you're going to add 2 more games per se. If you 16, if you go 16, no one really gets a bye. And I got to be honest, I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent right now. You look at what happened. I'd like to keep our team moving, right? And not take those 2-3 weeks off. But I also think we have to look at, well, when do you start the season to do that? And then how do you not have a Bo situation? We got to look at the portal. We've got to look at when. I mean, we're all evaluating spring football right now. Like, that's a question we're going to walk up to. I don't know what next year's spring football is going to look like. And so, but that's in context of the whole 12-month calendar. And so absolutely open. I mean, I'm open to anything. I don't think it's a bad thing to go to 14 and 16. The more teams in and the more kind of tournament you have, I think it's great. We got to continue to look at all the other aspects of that. If you have 16, what are we going to play into, like, March? We're going to go into February? I mean, my football players do go to class. They got to go to school. So what are we doing? And so I think we have to understand the bigger impact to that. And I think looking and evaluating, do you move it up to week 0 maybe? And you start playing there? Do you do an OTA style? I don't have the answer, but I do know it's being discussed. I think it's looked at. I think we have to look at it, but I'm not opposed to 14 or 16. I just want to know more about what does that whole calendar look like. I mean, it was a grind for you all, I bet. And I give our fans a ton of credit. You go out to the Big Ten Championship, you come home for a playoff game, you got to go out to the Fiesta Bowl, and then you got to go out to Miami. And you're booking flights 1 week out. Like I just think there's a lot of things and nuances that may not be getting the attention, but for us as the practitioners and trying to operate this world, we need to better understand how that will work.
We'll come in the room, we'll go with Mark, and then we'll go with Bob.
Thanks for your time, Pat.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, we're at the point now where football coordinators are making as much as head coaches were making a few years ago. You're a numbers guy. You just don't throw money to spend money. Can you explain the value? Because people see some of these numbers and they're like, wow. I mean, this is kind of eye-opening. Yeah, no, and I get it, and so am I. I remember I actually went back to, like, look what the coaches who were coaching me were making, and woo, we're in a different world now. I know everyone's the loaded Jim Knowles question. Look at, you go get the best. I'm going to go get the best coordinators we can, because I think you need to understand the coordinators set the tone. It's James' team. James is CEO. And I think James has done a masterful job of building the best staff in the country. And they are getting, you got to pay market, right? And I think when we get down and you look at the numbers, they are, but we can afford it. We can go and do what we're going to do. Why would I shortchange it? You got a chance to go get the best corner. I think we have 2 of the best coordinators in the country. And the way this world is now, the head coach truly is James has to deal with so many new things in the last 3 years. You know, you got the portal, and you've got players, dealing with so many different elements of life now, real money. And I think you've got to have I believe you have to have a strong of leaders in the offense and the defensive room to help give you the best chance to succeed. And we don't make those decisions lightly. But for me, it was a no-brainer with Jim Knowles. And I think he's already had dividends and paid off in this way. But, we're going to give ourselves the best chance to win. And we're going to do it any means necessary to do that. And we're going to do it the right way.
Bob and then Sal.
Pat, how are you?
I'm good.
Hey, listen, you mentioned it twice, the best wrestling program in the world.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Cael. Just, you've had a chance to watch him now a couple of years. You can barely contain yourself at matches. I think it's kind of fun watching you watch him and the wrestlers. But I wanted to get your opinion on, what do you think separates this guy from everyone else? Because not only are they winning, they're taking teams apart.
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that by everybody. And I get asked that by not just alums, but elite football coaches, basketball coaches. He is one of one. He's a unicorn, we would say, in our world. But Cael is it's Cael. Please no, I'm not taking anything. It's Casey, it's Cody. It's that entire organization and how they run. And they make the most important, everyone kind of hits us up when our athletes get and they speak in front of after they went, this is just one of the things I do. That's real. He recruits amazing young men who understand and are fully committed to being the best. And Cael does it in a way that is so special and unique. It's not what people, you think you come into a wrestling program, it's like fire and brimstone. No. Take care of your person first. Take care of who you are and bring people who understand that and who love to wrestle. And then we're just going to get better and better and better along the way. And it sounds simple. But the culture that he builds in that building, that Casey builds and Cody, like that unit builds, there's nothing like it. And yeah, I mean, I am the worst to have around them because here, I'll go to Big Tens and Northwestern. I'll be nervous. I'm already nervous. But what I learned from them is you do the best you can in everything you do. And at the end of the day, it happens, you move on. And they are all like that. And he is just, he's done more, I think, for me. And I'm not just saying this, people say that, but just watching them and to take a deep breath and understand he keeps the main thing, man, that's special. And so I try to tell our coaches all the time, go talk to them. Because you think it's something different than what it is, but it really isn't. You guys watch him, but he's that whole group. Let's just get to the core. Amazing people, great fathers, great leaders, and they get that culture to buy in and be exactly who they emulate. I'm like, God. And they don't complain about a thing. I mean, everyone knows, that's no joke. Cael walked in there and wanted $100 million. I will fine you $100 million, Cael. But the reality is it's opposite to that. I'm good, Pat. Don't worry. And we talk about what Audrey asked about scholarships, whatever we need to do to get better, but he's never asking for anything more than what he believes it takes to just win. And I think my takeaway in 3 years is I was sitting with someone, they're like, yeah, I didn't go because they were just going to bury these guys and it wasn't fun. I'm like, that's not fun for you? I don't know. I live on a different planet then. The American University AD is a dear friend of mine. He worked for me at BC. And I love pinning Fora and Tech Fall and I don't know. In competition, it's great. But they don't take it for granted. But I think we all have to understand what we are watching. It is the greatest. It's not even a dynasty. It's better than what anyone has done in college sports and maybe in all sports because the Big Ten is loaded. And we're going to continue to do that as long as we can. And but I'm sorry, long-winded, but he's just one of those people that thinks at a different level in all the right ways.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, bud.
We've talked about the men's basketball program in the past with you, and I think you said back in July at Big Ten Media Days that the expectation of the job Mike Rhodes has done and kind of the struggles of the team this season.
Yeah, look at it. It's still the have you given up on him, John? I mean, come on. We still got tournament. We got to win these games. I'm proud of them the last two games. I think. Look, Mike's done a remarkable job. I told him the other day after a tough loss. I went in and talked to him more as a therapist, and I said, Mike, look at the expectations that he has built to go to the tournament every year is a step forward. I don't know if that was the case all the time for Penn State basketball, and you guys have seen him. No one's more frustrated and bottled up like Mike is right now. And I'm not making excuses. And he wouldn't either. We got to get better. But I'm not looking for a quick fix. I'm looking to do this the right way. And, John, we got to build depth. You're playing in the Big Ten. It is physical. It is a tough conference. And guys can't play 40 minutes a game. And you get hit a little bit with the injuries. I'm not making excuses. That's part of it. The part of the game I'm not. But you got to find a way to get through that. And I think if you're going to build a roster in this day and age, it's hard. You got to find the right people. And I love our kids. And I think he's understanding that and growing. I had a meeting. I remember the year before at Michigan State where they blew the doors off us. I was like, welcome to the Big Ten. And I think Mike, what I love about Mike is he's learning and he's asking questions like, okay, it isn't, you gotta keep evaluating yourself and looking at it. So look at, we got everything in front of us still. That's what's crazy about basketball, right? Like the year we went to the tournament, you get 2 buzzer beaters and it shifts everything for you. And we didn't win. We haven't won those close games this year. And I think it's still a work in progress. Like I just tell everybody, just like stick with us, sweat with us. But I'm not. I'm more than ever confident in what he can do here. But we're not looking short term. We got. I want to build this so that it is a consistent tournament. And make no bones about it, the NCAA tournament is the objective, and he knows that. I would worry if he was worried about that he was talking to me about something else other than that. The guy's talking about winning the Big Ten championship. Hey man, how about we just let's get in the tournament, and then, but you want your coaches looking at that way, and that's where we got to continue to help them, but we'll get there. We'll go steal one from my alma mater this week would be nice, on many levels.
Todd, then Tyler.
Hey Pat, you touched on in the back. You touched on women's volleyball. You signed Coach Schumacher-Cawley to an extension. How important was that? And if you can kind of, I don't know if you've seen any kind of comp season to what she was able to accomplish with the team, given her health situation, given the whole thing. I'm sure in the AD world, I don't know if you've gotten any feedback from the friends in that world, what she was able to do to guide the team while dealing with everything she was dealing with.
Yeah, that was a hard extension, right? I don't think anyone's ever earned an extension than her. Man, I don't know. No. I just remember her coming in and telling me far earlier than anyone knew, that what she was about to begin. And that's pretty remarkable. And, like any of our staff and anyone that goes through life's trials, we're going to be there for them any way we can. It's a little bit like the Thon piece, right? Like, so much bigger than what we're talking about, NIL or no. And I'm not saying anything, but you have to ask the questions. I'm not dismissing that, but like, I just watching it from afar, and I don't know if you all can understand how difficult that was for her. And her fight's not over. And we're going to continue. I told her actually the other day, we're going to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting. But I thought, no, I have never seen anything like that. And the team, I remember being in the locker room after the Pitt loss early. This is before all this. And they, it's like, all right, let's get back up. We'll keep competing. And they never flinched. Nobody gave that team a shot at Nebraska when they had that. I don't care what you say. I mean, I was like sweating bullets. Holy cow. And go rewatch that game. Never did that team waver. When you have someone like Katie who's not flinching one bit about what was put in front of her and her family, there should be a Netflix movie about it. And I'm just so proud of those women and that staff. Never made it about anything other than themselves and the family, and made, we talk about Mike and them, no excuse. There was never an excuse. We're going to go and we're going to set the tone and we're going to just feed off each other. And so, it's what she did is I'll never forget it. Never. And then, her at Thon this weekend is just emotional and thinking through it, and puts into perspective everything that all of us I know have been walked up to it. Grandmother had breast cancer. Cancer it's all around us, right? And so I think she shed a little bit of light on it. And yeah, you can compete tough. And that's why I tell our athletes, you got to be tough. And that's the model right there. You know, she's got a little bit of Cael tendencies to her. Don't talk to me about it. She's got that Chicago shocker. We're both from Chicago, so but she's got that like, no. Let's just stay focused on the main thing. Like, no, we're going to keep the course. We're going to stay the course no matter what's going on. So, long-winded. I just her and her whole staff and Jess and Jeravish, the whole group, just relentless. It's pretty awesome. And the funny thing is, she probably don't want me to say this, but she was talking about a recruit. It was right after, and she was in another chemo session. I was like, hey, you can take it. I mean, we're good. Like, you don't. No. I got it. I need help with. So she's the best. She is Penn State. She is Penn State.
We'll go Tyler and then we'll go Andrew.
All right, Pat, bringing it back to NIL after.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know
Debbie
how to.
Downer.
Wasn't quite
I'm
sure.
sorry, let's pick it up.
Yeah, not an easy bridge to gap there.
No.
But so I just wanted to get into kind of the method that James has implemented in NIL. I think some people maybe criticize because they don't see Penn State bringing in a bunch of high dollar free agents out there. But then you look at the guys who decided not to go to the NFL draft, the guys who decided not to go in the portal, and clearly NIL is making an impact in roster retention. Can you kind of speak to striking that balance where you're not poisoning the well of your team culture, but you need some pieces, and you've got to be able to afford those pieces, and you got to take care of who's already here and put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and ultimately how you can kind of walk that line?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and James would probably laugh if I said this, because he and I friendly banter about this new world since I've been here of NIL and the portal, and I think he has done it absolutely the right way. And I thought Ryan did a really good job at Ohio State, right? Like, we're a little bit going back in time. Trust your evaluation, recruit the kids you want to recruit that fit your program, and hold on to them. I mean, that's why Ohio State they won the national championship, because those were their own kids. Their culture was there. Now, they had some nice additions, and I think we did the same, but that's the model. Because your kids are your culture. And I don't – our football locker room, the group of young men in that locker room are phenomenal. And I think the way James has done it, where, to your point, yeah, we want to hold on to our own. We know they're the good, the bad, the ugly. We know what motivates them. And they are passionate about playing for Penn State. They're passionate about – they tasted it. So when they all came back, I was like, yeah. Like, when we got over that game, all of us were like, we're coming back and we're going to win this thing. Well, transfer necessarily doesn't always feel that way. And I think what you want to do, I believe here at Penn State, and this goes for any sport, this goes back to the basketball question. If you think you're going to win a national championship and sustain the model by living in the portal, you're flatly wrong. But you have to have the patience to stick with it. And that is something I give James all the credit in the world. He is under enormous pressure, but he stuck with his kids, his guys that he knew and that he trusted. Cael Sanderson sticks with his guys that he knows. And yes, I think you got to be in the world that when you lose someone to the NFL, you lose someone as dynamic as Abdul Carter, that is really hard to replace. You got to go backfill. You got to create depth. You lose, you got injuries. You have different things. So that's where the portal, I think, comes into play. But you really got to evaluate that. We all know we need wide receiver help. So we got to go find one. I think we have some really good ones in the building. But everyone knows, like, it's not a secret. So you go find that. You got to trust that process. But, like, my 833 are our 833, and if you can come and help us win and do great things and bring that and maintain the culture here, then great. But that's football, and you got to be able. Every program's in different spots, right? But I think James has done an absolute masterful job, and I think it's a testament, going back to the staff, to what he's done to build that culture in that building of, like, we're all in this together and family. And I mean, look at how many people have left. I mean, it's truly remarkable. So that's why we're excited for next year. We've got a lot of work to do before Nevada, but we're excited.
We'll go with Andrew, and then we'll go back to Zoom and go to Mike Gross.
Pat up here on the back.
Yeah.
Hey, my question is about the transfer portal, and it's beyond football. The portal pre-existed before the marketing money, as we're now calling it.
Attaboy.
The portal existed before then, and there's a lot of people that want to see change in how the portal operates. Are there active conversations among the leaders of sports on how to change the portal to make it work for everybody?
Yeah, no, there is. I mean, I can just tell you, we're all trying to figure out the timing of it. You don't want a Bo situation. No one has free agency in the middle of their championship run. Like, what are we talking about? Like, the Eagles did not have to deal with Saquon or someone going away on their run to winning the Super Bowl. And so that is where we have to look at it. But it's not just like as easy as moving the portal window, right? That's oversimplifying it. I think you're absolutely right. And we're all trying to figure out where that is. Football in particular, I got to look at the calendar, but all sports, we have to look at what's the best, the opportunity that is giving both the student athlete the opportunity to be successful, both academically and competitively. In football, the thought of coming to the new era of like coming mid-year is a new thing. That's changed a lot. Coming in as a high school student athlete, that was never a thing when I was playing 20 plus years ago. And so once again, I go back to this Frankenstein amount. All these things have evolved and changed, and all of a sudden you just throw the portal in, and now you got to make a life decision when the people you love and are and you're a part of are competing for something that you so had a hand into doing. That's a really tough place to put someone in. So yes, we are talking about the portal windows, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's about looking at the calendar and everything.
What about contracts? Are there athletic directors that would like to put kids on 2-year contracts so it's not one and done all the time?
Yeah, I think, well, that's a harder conversation because if you put them on contracts, which scholarships are, well, what, am I going to go sue a kid for leaving? I mean, there's a myriad of reasons why they would leave, right? It's not necessary. It's always been 1 year you could leave, but then all the rules have just changed. So now you do have to look at it as a 1 year window. Do I want all of our young men and women to be here for a long time? Yeah. There's just so many factors now at play. I do hope this new world maybe can slow that down. We'll see. But okay, I put a buyout like I have in my. Who's going to sign that? Because you're competing. Remember, it's not the pros. So we have to recruit against Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and if they choose not to do it, well, they're not coming here just for the. Oh man, I love you. That's Pollyannic, and so we as college sports all have to come together and try to fix this. I really do believe for the better of the student athlete and the program they're going to.
Last two questions. We've got Mike Gross, and then we'll go to Greg Pickle.
Hi, Pat.
Hey.
Sorry if I got in a little late, so sorry if this has already been covered. But a while back, James said that he would like to hire a general manager for football with an eye toward revenue sharing and, all that. So are you, to use James's favorite word, is there alignment among the whole gang about the idea of doing that? And has there been, and if so, has there been any practical progress toward that happening?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with him. James and I, if we found the right person that could fit and do, it's really I'm 100% supportive. Let me say that. We have people in the building that are doing that job right now. A lot of these general managers that you're seeing hired have full roster discretion. I'll leave that out there. That's hard in college sports, meaning, I see you're squinting your eyes, meaning they're choosing the players, much like the pros. I don't agree with that. I do not think that's right. They're coming here because they're going to play for the coaches in James Franklin's football program. So there's different ways to look at general manager. General manager handling the cap, handling how we handle scholarships, because now you can give 105 scholarships. You don't have to give full rides. Yes, I think handling. So I told you, like, it goes up 4% every year, right? So you got to know, if you're going to offer someone 2 years, how much money do I have in year 2, 3 to go? Do you follow? So that number on the cap keeps going. So yes, 100%. It's not like we just actively have not hired one. We continue to talk to a lot of people. But as this is evolving, a lot of work in the building's been done, I think, really well. But I would not put it past James and us to have a GM at some point. We're hiring more data analytics folks in the office because I have to manage the entire 20.5 and the fair market value NIL, and we've got to make sure that we're all aligned because you have to balance all of these things to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So it's really data now for us. Some would argue that would be a GM. It's not. It's more of a data job. But I honestly think we're going to have to find a space for all of our Olympic sports to have someone that's helping them manage the different areas. Because this is now it's going all the way down. I mean, it's coming into hockey. It's everywhere. And so, trying to give our coaches across the board the resources and the help is going to be an issue. But once again, yes, if James texts me today and we talk about it and he found someone, I'm like, okay, that's great.
Last question to Greg Pickle.
Pat, how do you feel about the progress of the Beaver Stadium renovation plan now that you've released renderings, fundraisers, you knocked the press box down, things like that? And what do you envision it looking like, Beaver Stadium as a whole, when Nevada gets there in August for the start of the 2025 season?
It's funny you say that. So I went to this is a testament to Penn State. So we flew back. We were at the Friendly Confines game in hockey. I flew back, got at 2 a.m. I'm going. We got that blizzard. I was like, man, I bet there's going to be nobody here to watch this. And sure as heck, there's 400 people there. That's why I love this place. The fans are so passionate. And then when it fell down, I'm like, oh, boy, this is real. My heart was like, oh, as that thing keeps going. Oh, like, oh, man. I feel really good, though, where we are. We put out the renderings. We showed you kind of where we are in the progress. Fundraising has been awesome. It shows that when Penn Staters get behind something, I feel really excited about that. What will it look like? So we'll have temp seating. If I were to give you an example of, kind of think of Northwestern a little bit, how they built that stadium on the shore or on the lake, or like if you go to the Waste Management, they build that stadium around the 16. Like those are the folks that are doing the production. You'll see. How do I best describe it? But there's that lip that we took the top part off. There will be bleachers. I think it's 7,400 or so on that space. We're looking to even, seeing if we can add more seats to that. It'll look very temporary. It won't impact. We're working really hard. I know the follow-up question is, what's the capacity? We should be at full capacity. With the temp, we'll be really, really close. And you'll see a little bit of a construction footprint, but B&C will be, right? B&C? You should be able to get in still. Parking won't have any issues, but they're going to keep working throughout the year. So it's going to be an active site. But I mean, honestly, I think the temp seating may have a better seat than they had right now in the old kind of west side. But really happy about where it's going. I really believe it's going to be something fans are going to be proud of. We're trying to make it so that it's as loud as humanly possible, and continue to keep this as the greatest home field advantage in all of sports. We'll continue to give you all updates. I've learned that don't give an update unless it's exactly what it's going to be. So we'll start seeing more and more information come out on that over time as we start to really put this together. But I'm really, really happy with where we are from a philanthropic, suite sales perspective, and all that stuff will start coming through the year. I'll just give everyone a heads up. The spring game's going to be a little interesting. And by interesting, I really don't know what it's going to look like. We're expanding the East Side Concourse, so we're doubling the East Main Concourse, and I got to hit a mark of that Nevada game. So look for our information on how to get in the building, get around the building, and I understand. You got the best football team in the country, and everybody wants to get. So we're going to really work on some things to figure out nuances to that. But the West is going to be under construction, and so it's going to be a bit of a interesting blue-white game. But we'll make sure we get everyone information on how to enjoy it. But yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm excited about where it's going and the direction we're headed with it. Hey, everybody, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for all your hard work. I know it's not easy, but it's not lost on me how hard you guys and what you all do. So thank you. Appreciate y'all.